Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, we know the short-term what can we call it, fiasco, I suppose, is coming in on the 1st of October, which will basically destroy the Scottish tourist industry. But there is a possibility, and we will put it no stronger than a possibility, that it could actually cost lives. Hill walkers and mountain climbers and that sometimes rely on the huts and the sometimes available accommodation found up mountains, especially up the Munros. The reason being, of course, if you get bad weather and someone's caught out, these things could save their lives. Now, are they caught up in the short-term let's fiasco? It could well be. And it could be that the owners of these things decide to close them down because they just can't be bothered to go through all the paperwork every single year. It's ridiculous. But this could technically lead, of course, to these things being closed, walkers being caught and thinking instead of heading to these shelters, they could end up, of course, dying. This is madness. Nobody has thought this through. They've made this law, they've made it very wide because they lack the intelligence to target it at what they actually intended, which was the Airbnb brigade. Now they've made it so wide and so encompassing that nobody knows what's going on. Let's take a look at this one. Now, of course, this video really isn't about these particular sort of huts and things and these shelters. It's the fact we're highlighting that the law itself was so badly drafted that it could encompass a lot of things for which it was never meant to encompass. And then you get things that are closing, and then this could theoretically endanger lives. Nobody thinks about these things because the people making these laws, as we know, they're all morons. Anyway, the SNP, this isn't going to take long, I'm just going to whiz over the front of this. The SNP's madcap short-term lettings plans could penalise mountain climbers as the chorus for delaying them grows. In fact, most people, majority of people want these things stopped. Former Scottish Greens MSP Andy Whiteman highlighted, he won't like that, Humza won't like that name, White Man, highlighted that some mountain huts used by volunteer mountaineers or fans of climbing may fall foul of the Scottish Government's controversial short-term letting scheme. And that's the Alex McIntyre Memorial Hut. It looks quite impressive for a hut. Actually, I know where that is. That's Ballacaleach, isn't it? That's up top end of Glencoe. I've been past that. Anyway, the Scottish Government's madcap short-term letting plans have been criticised after it was revealed they could penalise mountain climbers who use the huts while out on the Munros. It is the latest category of property which falls foul of the licensing scheme, as it is too broadly framed, which is what we've been saying. It isn't targeting the thing it actually was created to do, which was to control Airbnbs. And I can understand why some people want them controlled. I don't have an issue if you're controlling a specific thing. But the framing of this law is so wide, it encompasses everything. And it is, I think, they're deliberately done so that they can try and make as much money as they possibly can. Because, of course, they're bankrupt. I'm surprised they stopped as wide as they did. And they didn't even go even wider. Anyway, it was previously confirmed that those who do house swaps may also be swept up in the policy, as well as house sitting, which is madness. The SNP executive was meant to outline what was and wasn't included in the secondary documents, but they're yet to do this. And the law comes in what, 4 days? 4 days. The law comes in 4 days, and they haven't told anyone the extent of what is or isn't within the law. It is madness, isn't it? Anyway, now, former Scottish Greens MSP Andy Whiteman, who also campaigned for the legislation to be brought in, massively bell-ended then, has pondered whether mountaineering clubs may also be forced to apply for a licence to keep huts open. This is what happens. You have these morons making these laws, and now even he's realised how stupid it is, and he was one who voted and campaigned for it. Because they're idiots. Anyway, Thousands of B&Bs and other short-term let providers across Scotland have warned they may shut down for good due to the bureaucracy and the cost involved in registering and severely damaging the tourism industry in the country. And a group of cross-party MSPs have also written to Hamza Yousaf to plead for a delay, but they were rebuffed because he needs the money. Mr. Whiteman wrote on Twitter, "Mountaineering clubs have 7 days with which to apply for a short-term licence. Just another group caught up in the wide scope of legislation too broadly framed by him. He's the one who campaigned and voted for it." Huts like the Alex McIntyre Memorial Hut in Alnwick, or the Team BMC Glen Brittle Hut, or the famous Charles English Clark Hut at the foot of the north face of Ben Nevis. I can't think where that one is. I'm definitely been past it. He then added a caveat to his comments as he pointed out that mountain huts may be excluded from the regulations by being hostels, but the mountaineering clubs who own the huts would need to apply for permission to change the use of the premises to a hostel so they don't get swept up in the legislation. This is the problem. All these things nobody knows because they haven't laid out the rules. And what about bothies? You're out in the middle of nowhere and sometimes you come across a little bothy. Do you stay in them? Do they get charged? Who knows? This is ridiculous. You frame a law, you do it so piss poor a job, nobody knows what's happening, not even the people who draft the law. Ridiculous, isn't it? And this is why, of course, everything goes wrong for this bunch of clowns that call themselves the Scottish government. They are all, as we know, good people. What do we call them? Morons. Because each and every single one of them is a complete imbecile. There isn't a brain cell amongst them, is there? I mean, I'd say room temperature IQ, but it's a bloody cold room. Anyway, I'm going to round off there and come up. I told you it wasn't a big one there. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't really about these huts, these things. It's about how badly framed this law is and will always be. It just needs to be abandoned and started from scratch. Or better still, just abandoned. Coming up. As I say all the time, it's the lunatics running the asylum. You don't let the stupid make decisions. And unfortunately, not only do the stupid make decisions, but the even stupider vote the stupid in. There needs to be a rule. I think there must be a minimum IQ for a voting regulation. You know, you cannot vote for a party if you visit, below this IQ. Because it is just so dim. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do hope you hit that subscribe button. Really does help the channel grow. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. And if you do get caught out in a storm, use these things. Use the bothies, use the huts. That's what they're there for. Thanks a lot and goodbye.